What is up? Welcome back to the Tomahawk Talk Pod. As always, I'm your main man, Jay Money. With me, we've got Ben and Jose and a special guest. And I don't want to mess it up, so if you would like to pronounce your name for us,
Yeah, yeah. So correct pronunciation, my name is Gaurav.
Gaurav. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, Big year on you for Braves Twitter. Um, kind of seen you blossom, so to speak, with all the prospects this year. Talk to us about that, like just covering all the prospects kind of this year and just kind of having your little niche, so to speak, doing that.
Yeah, so I got into covering the Braves maybe like it's almost like 15 years ago really with what was Talking Chop before, now battery powered. My passion has always been prospects. My whole vision has been like being the voice of the people that don't necessarily have the limelight as major league players do, but have these interesting, compelling stories. And in general, it's the future of the club. I know it's not always that sexy as, especially the past like 5 years, where it's been just really difficult as hell trying to cover the same pitcher, the same four or five pitchers. But now it's we're entering a new period for the Braves, and it's actually really fun to be able to do what I do, be able to talk to the people I get the opportunity to talk to and really see some of these players develop and see kind of what the future, the next, 8 to 10 years for the Braves looks like outside of the current MLB team.
Well, I know Jeb has self-admittedly said that he doesn't really know shit about prospects. And I like to think that I know a little bit, but it's basically like me saying I know something about, space whenever you're Neil Armstrong at that point.
Yeah.
Like I've loved looking at the minor league box scores here this year, man. With Cam Caminiti and even the
Hmm.
the DSL guys like Rowdy Reyes, Diego Torrens, just those guys like interest me. But it's so interesting for me to look and see what you've tweeted throughout the day and just be like, dude, this is a guy I've never fucking heard of,
Hmm.
and he's just sitting here like you know, hit going 3 for 4 with two exit velos over 100 miles an hour or whatever in the DSL, and it's like these kids are crazy nowadays, man. It's
No,
insane.
that's seriously no joke. The talent that's been added to the organization over the past like 2 to 3 years has been incredible. You talk about Riley Reyes, 17-year-old that throws 102, 103 miles an hour. Like that, I just can't fathom really. I come in at like 60. So imagining someone that's like half my age throwing 102 to 103, and then you get the reports at the end of the year and it's shown that they're so happy with the way his slider has progressed as well, right? And so you're talking about someone that's 17 years old that could potentially already have two double plus pitches. Like that's just special. And again, when it comes to like prospects in general, taking for example Carlos Lara, who got sent down just a couple of days ago as someone that was signed out of the San Cristobal in the Dominican Republic for $10,000, right? Someone that you don't expect to really make it above, double A ball. And instead, he's on the cusp of making the team next year. And he's someone that everyone's talking about, someone that people want to see comes in with 102 miles an hour while throwing his slider slash cutter. That's one of the best pitches in minor league baseball. It's just so many different things can happen over the course of the year, and you really don't know. You have an idea, right? You have your top prospects, but you really don't know what's going to happen year in and year out. And this year especially, you're seeing the Braves, a lot of their top prospects take huge steps forward, and not even their top prospects, even some of their lesser ones, like a Raven Antonio, who came in this year. I think he's 17 years old, who had was sitting 91 and 92 last year, now sitting comfortably 95, 97 plus, right? Like you
Yeah.
don't know. And what's great about watching minor league baseball is these players, some of them will crash and burn, and some of them you're just like, okay, that's just the nature of the game and how hard the game is. But then you see random people take massive steps forward. And being able to watch that, being able to be part of that process is like something that I take near and dear to my heart. Being able to talk to these players after a bad game and see where their head at, where their heads at, what they're working on next. It's really cool to see these guys persevere and overcome all these different odds because let's be honest, like being a major league player doesn't make sense. I don't know how they do it. I couldn't do it. So like being able to accomplish a feat like that is remarkable. And being able to sit there and talk with them and see how each player kind of takes each day by day and see how they progress. It's really wonderful, and it's like it honestly enthuses me to be able to say, hey, if these guys can come in not knowing what's going to happen the next day, like just to work as hard as I can, and it's really cool. And like I said, this year has been especially strong for the Braves, and it's been really cool to be able to see a lot of players take these massive steps forward.
It's crazy because when I was 17, I was worried about how my Instagram was looking on the outside for other people, and these dudes are 17 and they're just blowing chundo past other minor league guys. So I think I'm in
Got
the
Cam
wrong
Kennedy.
profession, you know.
Oh man, Cam's gonna be so fun to watch. I thought in my whole life, Jeb makes jokes about it and everything, but when I was 15, I topped out at 92 miles an hour, and I
They're not
thought I
Oh,
was
jokes.
that's
hot
impressive.
shit. I thought I was hot shit for topping out 92,
You
and
were also
then
ranked. You were also
in
ranked.
Georgia,
Yeah.
okay, well, anyway,
At what
at
age were you topping out at 92?
15, I
Dude,
mean,
that's impressive as hell.
for the time it was, but now you have kids who are
No, that's
15,
impressive
like
today, my man.
it's I mean, I'm 28 now, and that's long past me at this point. But uh, no, you have kids like Rowdy Reyes who are chunking a hundo, and you're like, what the fuck? I was never gonna make it. I was never going to do anything. What?
It humbles you real
But
quick.
what's that?
It humbles you real quick.
Oh, dude, I'm saying. Well, I mean, I would go to tournaments and stuff, and like, I played one summer with Byron Buxton when I was 15 and he was 18. Played with against Travis Demerit. Played against a bunch of hey, shut your mouth, Jeb. Played against a bunch of guys who now are either in minor league ball or playing professional like major league ball, and it's like these guys they're a different breed, and you see it whenever you know what you're looking at. You can see who has that it factor about them. Um, but off topic, one guy that I've really wanted to talk to you about specifically, guy that I was super excited about this year, coming into this year, and he's done really, really well coming off of surgery and everything, was David McCabe.
Mhm.
Um, dude, I've loved his swing. Switch hitting corner infielder. I know he profiles better as like a first base slash DH. Third base, he's eh, okay at best over there. But what has he shown you this year that, and where would he fit in with the Braves, or do you think he's going to be on the trade block this offseason?
So it's really tough when it comes to McCabe in terms of his fit in the organization. Like you said, I don't really see that future at third base for him. It's kind of limited range, and his arm's like
Yeah,
solid, but not that great.
yeah.
And of course, you have someone named Austin Riley there at the at the prime of his career. So like that's just not going to happen.
And you got
Um,
Olson over at first base, so like he
yeah,
ain't gonna
yeah,
really go to first.
that's the main struggle. That's the main. You're talking about two potential Hall of Famers at positions that you want to play, right? And then
Yeah.
when you're a DH, you need to be, heavy slugging and on base kind of guy. And what we've seen from McCabe this year, number one, has been health. Coming back from Tommy John surgery last year, the approach was there, but you could tell it wasn't all there, like all the pieces in place.
Yeah.
But what you're seeing this year is someone that's feeling good. The approach is still there. He's still a really high OBP guy that knows the zone, that isn't going to expand. But what we've seen this year is that big improvement with the hit tool. And because of that, he really, really thrives in Mississippi. And he was one of one of the big players over in Columbus on a really rough Columbus team.
Yeah.
He was really driving a lot of those wins, and it's because of that he was able to one stay on the field and to exhibit a much more impressive hit tool than years past. Um, his future with the club is a little murky because of what we just talked about, what position he plays, the fact that he's mainly a DH at this stage in his career, and he is like 25, 26. So he's
Yeah.
someone that you want to see hit the ball a little harder than what he does, right? You don't really want to have a DH just coming in with a slugging percentage sitting like 400. That's just there's too many people around the world that are not too many people. Let's there's like 10, right? But there's not you just want to see more production out of that kind of slot. So his future is a little murky. But what we did see was someone that went from potentially not really having a career in Major League Baseball to someone that took really massive steps forward to potentially realizing that true potential that he has, which is someone that can get on base at an elite level and, again, want to see more with the glove, but with the bat, it was a huge step forward. Next year is going to be absolutely critical for him. I don't really foresee the need to add him to the 40 man because I don't think he's going to stick on a big league roster for a full season.
Yeah.
Um, but if we start seeing that power really come to play in Gwinnett next year, then 2027 really, really might be his year where it's, we got to find some place on this team for him. Otherwise, we got to get him out and get something back.
Well, unfortunately for everybody, I don't think 2027 is going to be a big year or small year for anybody.
That's true.
But I love the insight on that because I personally was so high on McCabe in 20 what was it 23 before he got hurt,
Hmm.
and then obviously he had to have TJ and missed a full year basically. But I thought that he could have been probably the best hitting prospect in the system at this point had he not got hurt. Um, you might think differently, but that was just from what I had seen, the approach, the hit tool, everything like that. I thought it was,
I definitely think he's got one of the highest floors because that approach is so like major league quality, right? He's not going to expand the zone. He's not going to chase at a really high level. He's
yeah,
someone that he's going to make you earn an out. And when you're talking about minor leaguers, like that's not a huge selection of them.
right.
You might have like two or three on each team. That's like, okay, I could see a huge career. I can see a huge potential for him. And McCabe had that because again, he didn't expand, he didn't chase, he doesn't whiff a lot. He gets on base a ton. That's one of the biggest characteristics that anyone could ever want from any kind of player as is. Um, but like, yeah, again, it's his floor is massive. The only thing going against him is I don't think that ceiling is relatively there just because
Yeah,
the power really isn't what you want from someone that plays DH. Now, if it's in a
yeah.
different organization and he can, be a hybrid first base, third base, like there's value in that. And I could totally see him finding a fit there. But in terms of like his fit in the Braves organization right now, it's tough to say, but I don't really see a really solid fit for him on this team.
Yeah. Well, now that we got a little warm up going for these prospects, man, we got to talk shortstops, all right? Because the Braves are going to have some shortstops coming through the system here in the next couple of years that they're going to have to make a decision on. Everybody knows Alex Lodisi, who got drafted out of Florida State this year, finalist for the Golden Spikes Award. Everybody knows Tate Southasine, who was the first round draft pick. But John Heel has started popping up on radars like crazy this year. And obviously Diego Torrens, Diego is a shortstop
Center,
prospect, isn't he?
center field.
Center field. I'm sorry. Well, he never mind then. My mind is gone. It's 8:30 at night. I'm usually in bed by now. But no, yeah, John Heel and Alex Odisi take south the scene. Are there any other guys that I'm missing that you could?
Cody Miller. Yeah,
Cody
yeah.
Miller.
Another
Yes.
really intriguing player that the Braves took this last draft was Cody Miller, who I personally have really high up on my list because of his impressive hit tool. Again, his approach is so much better than what you expect of someone in that age. And then he's got potential plus speed, plus power, and a plus hit tool. Like the idea of Cody Miller is like really ridiculous, and the fact that he performed the way he did when he was drafted makes me extremely excited about what his potential is next year. But like you said, there's a lot to like up the middle for the Braves right now.
And that's a beautiful thing about having shortstop prospects. They're so easy to just put anywhere on the field.
Hmm.
You can literally take a shortstop, put him at second, put him at third, put him in center, put him in a corner outfield. You know, whatever you want to do. They're athletic enough to make it work. Out of those four, who did you see that impressed you the most this year? Who are you most excited about?
Oof, that's a tough question. Um, that's a really tough question because honestly, all four have impressed me in different ways. So when you have someone like John Heel, again, solid bonus guy. I think he came in at like $100,000 or right underneath, but he is a potential double plus hit tool, double plus speed plus power, right? You're talking about someone that can stick it at short with a great arm and then get on base at an elite level with really elite speed. Like that, just that alone, that skill set alone is like, okay, like sign me up, right?
Right,
For Alex Lodis, that's someone that has power that is incredibly intriguing at the shortstop position. Incredibly intriguing. The question is, can you change the approach? Can you limit the whiffs a little bit more? And that's something that the Braves minor league system really excels at, which makes his selection just so intriguing for me for this organization is because they work wonders with approach. So like the idea that Alex has a better approach moving into next year and he can play on that power while also providing good defense, that's insanely awesome as well. Cody Miller, like I just said, he's someone that might shift towards center field, might play right field, might play second. Like this guy has incredible versatility. He's again incredibly intriguing on the offensive side. His profile is very, very interesting. So those are three like really high end, and I'm not saying like their ceilings are average replacement level play. Like all three of them have high end potential. We're talking like franchise altering potential at the shortstop position. So the fact that the Braves have these kinds of players available to them and can also be a little patient with their development, especially they need to re-sign Kim. Like there's not a doubt in my mind. They need to sell everything they can to keep him around for at least 3 to 4 years and let these kids develop
yeah.
because the future, the potential is there at short, at second, at center. You just have to allow them to develop at their pace because what we're seeing right now is some incredible work down at the organizational level. And it's got me really interested in 2026 and beyond when it comes to these Braves positional prospects, which is something I have not been able to say in like 7, 8 years.
I love to hear it.
Well, now talk about the pitchers. I mean, they've got a bunch of intriguing arms down there too. Who are some of the
Yeah.
pitchers that we can look out for that you could potentially see probably sooner than later? Maybe could be potential rotation pieces.
So there's a lot, and I'm going to try and limit myself just a little bit because I could probably talk for hours when it comes like even the players that they added this draft class, like Briggs McKenzie's player that's got enormous potential. But if we just try again and limit ourselves, first and foremost is Hurston Waldrep, who came in July and changed everything about how he pitched and is now a bona fide like major league potential player. Like that needs to be shouted out. That needs to be credited to him. Someone that's made massive adjustments is it's just been awesome. But then when you're looking at the lower, kind of the younger players, the first player that really sticks out is Cam Caminiti. And what he showed this year honestly truly surprised me because the Braves as an organization, they really, for pitching prospects, they really push that slider. They want them to have that straight horizontal pitch, that pitch that they can use as a whiff generator. And so they limited Cam a whole lot. They made him basically sit fastball, sweeper, changeup. And all he did was put together one of the best seasons I've ever seen from an 18-year-old pitcher. Like, and that needs to, he generated whiffs with not just the fastball, which he did an incredible job at locating with, which is something, again, you don't see from someone that age, but he was able to get that high in the zone and generate whiffs. He was able to combo that with a sweeper that had amazing movement, and he could locate it to both sides of the plate. And then he had that wipeout changeup that was just devastating against left-handed batters. Like what I saw from Cam, I did not expect whatsoever, and I was truly impressed by him. Outside of Cam, Ethan Bagwell came back from injury, and he was sensational as well as the guy that can throw a really good two fastball mix with his four seam that gets up to 97, and then his two seam that's got awesome movement down over at 94, 95. We saw the incredible advancements in it's a minor relief pitcher, but Carlos Lara with his pitch mix as well, and being able to really hone in on that sinker and being able to flash that as well to go with that four seam and that cutter. Raven Antonio is someone that probably moved up a lot of lists the most because he came in this year throwing 95, 97 when last year he was sitting more around 91, 93. And then he also had four other pitches to go along with that. So there's a lot to like. That doesn't even include like Luke Sennard, Brett Sears, two other players that had downright sensational years of their own. Lucas Braun, very strong into a season, ended up in AAA. Drew Hackenberg is probably the one pitcher in the organization that did the least to help his stock, but to say like it's so tough to be able to pick one or two because we saw huge advancements pretty much throughout the entire organization when it came to pitching prospects.
So I wanted to say two things. One, I want Cam Caminiti to have Chris Sale's phone number on speed dial. Any question that Cam has, I want him to go directly to Chris Sale, ask whatever it is he wants, and I think Chris Sale would welcome that. I think Chris
Yeah,
Sale's the type of guy who would do that. But two, you mentioned him. What the hell happened to Drew Hackenberg this year, man?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
I loved him last year. The dude has five pitches that he located so well last year. That he had solid movement on all five. Like it was almost like he was very close or one of the closest to being big league ready last year. And this year it's just like everything fell apart. And I what did you see that kind of made him take a step back?
I wish I could answer that question. I really do. I really do wish. I've been able to talk to a bunch of different coaches, look at, what how they've evaluated Drew, and it doesn't it doesn't really make sense. I don't know why he regressed as much as he did. He seemingly was unable to throw any of his pitches for strikes, and that's what it really came down to.
Yeah.
But like the reasoning behind it, I don't know. And it's one of the biggest questions from this year that how can someone just seemingly like find themselves unable to do what they've done for the rest of their I don't want to say the yips because that's way too strong of a thing to be able to say, but like
I mean that.
It was concerning because you did expect more out of him this year.
Well, I hate to tell you, but that Y word might be the one cuss word that we don't like saying on here. But it's yeah, man, it was brutal to watch, and like one of my and I don't know if you saw it or not, but one of my first bigger posts on X was about Drew Hackenberg. It was back in I guess January, February. Me and one other person wrote like a little article naming five Braves prospects, that we wanted to watch out for, and he was on there.
Hmm.
And I mean, I guess he put a lot of people on notice last year, but this year it was just like, God, I feel for the kid, man, because nothing he did this year was going right, and I hate it for him.
That's the biggest thing is like these guys are human beings first and
Yeah.
foremost, and you don't want to wish bad on any of them, and it does suck because last year he did seem like he was going to be one of the first potential arms up in Atlanta because of his ability to throw five different pitches for, well, four of them for strikes. One of them was a real good show pitch, but that's more than enough to be able to pitch in the majors.
Right.
And to like seemingly lose control of all of them, that sucks. And to not be able to really figure out why over the course of a season, like that's messing with him mentally.
Yeah.
And it's not something it's not something I wish on anybody because all these guys work as hard as they can. But like for Drew to have the success he did last year and then to have that kind of struggle this year, he's one of the guys I'm rooting for a whole bunch next year to just get, just take one step in the right direction,
Yeah.
start having a little more success because again, he's good enough to be, in that discussion for being a potential major league pitcher. And it was just, yeah, it was rough. There's no other way to say it.
Um, yeah. He has a whole off season to work
Absolutely.
on it and get ready. So we'll see him back next year for sure.
On the
Yeah, for
bright
sure.
side, I did have a pitcher that I wanted to ask you about. And you touched on him earlier, but I wanted to know your thoughts on what you've seen from him year over year, but especially this year. We saw him take massive steps forward. That's Hurston Waldrep.
Yeah.
What kind of changes did he do? What kind of adjustments did you notice that he made from his time last year to this year? Because last year we saw him in the major league level for a short period of time, but he struggled, as you would expect a very young player to do. This year, we all know he came in, played that game in Bristol, and he's just been shining ever since. So, what have you seen from Hurston year to year?
It's night and day, really, is what it is. And with Hurston last year, the idea of him being in the majors was a little ridiculous to me, like as is, because I just didn't see it. That was the guy that had one pitch really, and he could only throw one pitch for strikes. And that limited literally everything he could do. And it's something that he struggled with over the first part of the season. But you saw or I want to say it was July, where they made a massive mechanical adjustment for him. And with it, he was a lot more composed. He wasn't falling off of the mound. He was able to stay a little more in tune and in form with his body mechanics as they are. And he was slowing down. That was the biggest thing. He wasn't rushing, he was slowing down. He was able to really utilize, what's the best way to say this? He wasn't overthrowing, and what you saw, especially in his last start, where he sped up his mechanics and he was missing arm side, that was a huge, huge problem with his last year. But what we saw this year was him taking a kind of a pause and being in more command of his overall body mechanics. He wasn't falling off of the mound with his pitches, and with it came a completely different way for him to pitch instead of relying on that splitter for everything. He was able to get in front of batters with his fastball first and foremost. He was able to locate it in the upper third, generating whiffs when he needed to. He was able to get it on the outside of the plate as well, being able to spot it. He added that cutter, which then created that a little more deception with his four seam fastball because his four seam was a bit flat and it was hittable. But now with that added deception with his cutter, that made it a little more difficult for him to hit because he was able to throw both of those pitches for strikes and get ahead of batters. He was able to then incorporate his splitter later into counts and be able to generate whiffs from that. With that added success, he was then able to toy around with his knuckle curveball, which has come on just fantastic over the past like 2 to 3 starts. And now you're seeing someone that's able to get ahead of hitters again with his fastball early in the counts and then put them away with two truly, his splitter is one of the best in baseball. Let's go ahead and say that. Let's go ahead and say that now. But with that development with his knuckle curve, that gives him two straight whiff pitches that he has at his disposal as long as he's able to get ahead of batters. And that's what we saw this year. And again, you can't dispute what his numbers are in the majors. Like he finished what, 6-1 with a sub 3 ERA. It's
Yeah.
not smoke and mirrors. He's doing it because of his massive changes to the way he pitches. And that's something I actually do see. Like I do see him being able to replicate it next year. Of course, like you don't want to have those kinds of expectations, and it's something being able to pitch in the majors and pitch in the starting rotation is something that needs to be earned, and he's not quite there. It's a huge step in the right direction, and someone that I had serious reliever risk on for next year now becomes, I think, most likely he's got to have the which the best chance of getting that number 5 spot in the Braves rotation, and that credit literally all goes to him, all goes to Sean Murphy, who told him to throw that two seamer a little bit more. Like it's remarkable to see what kind of improvement he's made, and that's like really why I love watching minor league baseball so much, because major leaguers, they're set. You get to the majors, like there's a reason you're there. You're really fucking good. Sorry.
No, you're good.
You're really good. Uh, but to see a minor leaguer make those kinds of adjustment and like change their ceiling, it's truly special to watch. And like I tweeted about this, and it's like watching my, and of course he's like 25 or 26, but like for me it's like watching my son like graduate from high school. And it was just awesome to see, and he's someone that, like, again, he deserves all the praise, because that's not easy to do what he did. And like I'm just massively impressed with Hurston Waldrep.
Yeah, like huge shout out to him for having the maturity and the wherewithal to
Absolutely.
actually take coaching and
Absolutely.
understand that there were things that needed to be changed. Because I tell you, there's a lot of folks, they don't call it, big league in somebody for no reason. There's
Hmm.
a lot of guys who get there and they're like, well, he could have very easily been, well, listen, I was the starting fucking pitcher of the Florida Gators when they won the, national championship. And it's like, well, that's great and all, but professional level, that's a whole another ball game, pun intended. It's like your shit still stinks, just like everybody else's at
Like,
that point.
to add on to that, you have to have that ego to be able to succeed. Like, you can't
Yeah,
be critical of yourself all the time, right? So for him to have the ego to succeed, but also accept like help and accept advice from even a non-pitcher, right? From Sean Murphy,
right.
like that's huge. And it shows like an incredible maturity out of him.
Yeah, I mean, I hate. I'm in the catch 22 here because I'm a huge, Georgia fan, but I have to root for Hurston Waldrep. Coming from Florida, like, and also he grew up 45 minutes from where I live, so
Yeah,
Thomasville, Georgia, it's not far. But it's been awesome in general to see the growth of him this year, like, just great. And I'm hoping that he carries it over to next year. That's going to be, in my head, that's going to be the biggest test. Is great. You've had a taste of success in the major
yeah,
leagues. You've also had a taste of 100% utter failure in the major leagues.
yeah.
What's going to make the most impact? Is it going to be that failure that you had at the beginning, or is it going to be the success you had at the end of this year? Because you can very easily regress to being going right back to where you were. And is he going to be able to take what he's learned this year and apply it to a full 162? And that's going to be the biggest question going into 26 for me, for him.
Well, he
No,
doesn't
that's a
start
great point.
162 games, but
You know what? I mean, you know what I mean. If he starts 30 games next year as the number 4 for the Braves, I'd be ecstatic. If he starts 30 games and pitches to a 3.7, like,
I'm
I'd be
fantastic.
com-
yeah.
I'd be completely fine with that. I'm not saying he has to go out there and be a ace right off the bat. No, but if you have a rotation of Sale, Schwelly, Strider with a normal off season Strider, and then Hurston Waldrep, that rotation is going to be one of the best in baseball. But are there any minor leaguers that, one, we haven't talked about, but two, that are not on hardly anybody's radar that you have noticed this year that you expect to have that helium, going into next year?
I know this one. That's going to be Isaiah Drake for me. Isaiah Drake 2 years ago was
Yes.
someone that was incredibly intriguing on a tools standpoint. You know, he's got the potential with the power, he's got the potential with his hit tool, he's got the double plus speed. What kind of player is he going to be? Because he was super raw. This year, you saw a huge step forward with his approach and hit tool. And you saw him a lot more confident. He was sitting around, I think, like a 340 on base percentage, with like an okay batting average, even though like you saw the progression in the hits one approach. Um, will he tap into his power? Like that's going to be the big question for me next year. Because if he taps into his power and he's hitting for average, he's hitting for, and he's got that speed while providing really good defense, like that's hard not to be a top 100 prospect. And I saw such huge steps from him this year that makes me think that he's no longer this raw player, but he's an offensive piece that just needs a little more development. And for that to happen over the course of a single season, like that's remarkable. For someone to be as raw as he is, to take those steps forward, to me thinking that he's a real Paul Skeens finishes with a 1.97 ERA, that's ridiculous.
That's
Um,
crazy. That
to
is crazy.
see him take those steps forward this year, he's like at the probably towards the front of my list. Um, John Heel again. I could talk about him for hours. He's someone I think he's going to end up being top 100 as well.
I think so too.
Uh, One player that did impress me that is it's a little cheap for me to say because he was such a big bonus guy, but that's Diego Torrens. Everything I heard from him out of the Dominican Summer League was outstanding. Like there's one thing I heard which was like his like attitude was a little much, but like I want myself a Cuban superstar that thinks he's the shit, that hits for 30 home runs, steals 40 bases, that has a golden arm. Like that sounds amazing to me. Someone that brings a swagger, that knows he's better. Like to be able to see that kind of really advanced approach that he put in this year in his year 16, 17 season was just outstanding. He had impressive exit velocities too, even though at 17 he was hitting ball like 105 to 107 miles an hour, which is like what I don't understand. Then you have like a couple of other players and for that were playing for the Green Jackets, and that's Owen Carey and Eric Hartman. Those are a couple players that really showed improved approaches this year and look like really good assets for the organization because if they develop the way that they're capable of and they hit their ceiling, those are both two five-tool players that like are again are barking at really close to top 100 type of status. And like to see that kind of like again advancement from them this year over in Augusta and down in Rome for Isaiah Drake, it was fantastic. And those are just like a couple of the big names that I think Braves fans can really get excited about heading into 2026.
And
So
I've gotten so excited about these prospects now. Like, just hyping them up and everything, man. I kept up with all of them, for the most part this year. But, it's just, gosh, now I'm ready for minor league baseball to start again. And it just ended like a week ago. Jose, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, so to anybody watching this not on YouTube, I had kind of a reaction when he mentioned Isaiah Drake. And that's because I was about to ask him about Isaiah Drake. I first saw that kid. You guys remember in 2023, after the season ended and the Braves held some exhibition games to prepare for the postseason? I was at one of those games and I saw Isaiah Drake play for the first time, and that kid just impressed the hell out of me, man. Everything about him, just love his player profile, man. He's an Atlanta kid. He's taken some steps forward. Lefty outfielder. Reminds me a lot of Michael Harris, if I'm being honest. Um, I'm not so sure where his defense is at. Maybe you could fill me in on that, but really liking what I'm seeing from him.
No, I think he's going to be a fine defensive. I think he can stick at center. They played him in left and right a lot because of Eric Hartman, who was able to play Eric Hartman and Owen Carey, who both were able to float in between center and right field. But I think Isaiah was able to sit in center when he got promoted to Rome. I think he stays there. He's got a great arm. He's got amazing range. So defensively, like that's not even a question for me. The entire question for Isaiah Drake is will he continue to progress with that hit tool? And then will his raw power become game power? Because if he starts getting that, if those ground balls and that's what we saw this year, the ground ball to fly ball ratio increased. If those fly balls start becoming less, less flyouts and more line drives into the gaps, like that's a really really intriguing player that has a long career and I have been so insanely impressed with him because he was extremely raw coming into last season, and to see where he is now, like that's all credit to him, all credit to Ruben Gotay over at Augusta. They worked their asses off, and he has become such an interesting prospect.
Isn't
I,
his
I
brother Kenyon Drake in
His cousin, yeah, cousin,
cousin?
yeah,
Okay, yeah, I thought they were related at some point. I saw that somewhere. I couldn't remember where it was.
talented family.
Oh
I
yeah,
got to see him. I believe it was the last game in Rome. They were playing Spartanburg, and I got to see Isaiah Drake go. I believe it was 2 for 4, and he hit that little base hit through the 5-6 hole to score a run. And I think Cody Miller also played that game, but they shared a bat. Like they all shared the same bat, and I was like, this reminds me so much of just being in high school, just everybody using,
Yeah,
or even like Little League when that one dude had the orange Mako, like
and okay, so we talked about prospects for a good while now. You gotta tell us what you think about the major league club this year because are you as disappointed as we are? You gotta be,
but
right?
of course, of course. This this had like World Series or bust kind of season for me, and to not even make the playoffs is a massive. It's a. I'm gonna like brutal because now I've had two cocktails. It's a massive failure. Like regardless of injuries, to not make the playoffs with this much talent is a utter and complete failure of a season, and it was just it was a huge miss. It was the first time in a while where also some of the moves that they've made have made me question exactly what they were, the logic behind them.
Yeah.
Um, Ultimately, I'm not making those decisions, so no one gives a shit. But it was, yeah, this year sucked. I'm a
Dude.
huge Braves fan. Like I got into baseball growing up because my dad, again, immigrant dad, worked nonstop. My only time with him was watching the Braves. And so like Braves baseball is like everything to me. So to have them not even make the playoffs, to have them like I want that top five draft pick, but to be a to be a top five draft pick team just freaking sucks.
Oh, dude, I would trade a World Series for a number one draft pick in a heartbeat. I mean, I would opposite. I'd trade the
I
number
was
one
like, wait,
draft
oh
pick.
my
wait.
god,
Yeah.
man!
No. I want a World Series no matter what. But it fucking blows how many
Yeah,
injuries have hit this team. How many guys have, just had basically career worst years.
yeah.
And last year in 2024, I thought that that was like our karma for how good everything was in 2023. Like it was
Yeah,
just the complete opposite. But no,
yeah,
this year was worse to me than last year. And you have some of the guys who, like my favorite players, even Grant Holmes, he goes
yeah.
down with the injury. Schwelly gets, his elbow blown off. It's just injury after injury after injury, and then guys not playing up to their potential. Like even Matt Olson to me is about the only one who's had a really good year.
Drake
Yeah.
Um,
Baldwin.
okay, yeah, Drake. I completely forgot about Drake for some reason. That dude right there, that's a dog. Is who that is. Drake Baldwin can play some ball. Um, I actually learned about Drake. Was it? It was either last year, or year before, from you. I saw you talking about him, and I started following him and following him and following him, and then early this spring, I posted a video of him hitting was like a 440-foot bomb to center field, and I'm like, yeah, this kid right here is about to start mashing baseballs in Atlanta
Yeah, like
very
those
soon.
types of players, like a Drake Baldwin, like a Ronald Acuna, hell, even like an Ozzy Albies, like they stick out so much
Yeah,
compared to your average minor league baseball player. And so what you saw from Drake Baldwin last year was someone that had like the floor. His floor was a major league catcher. And to be able to say something like that for someone that was 23 years old is absolutely ridiculous. But there was no way it wasn't going to happen. That hit tool, that approach, it was so good for someone. And then to even get better this year, you face better talent and you cut your strikeout percentage down
yeah.
and you increase your slugging. Like, what the hell, dude? Like, are you serious? I actually tweeted about this last week, and it's like I have to reevaluate his ceiling. If he's the 20 home run guy in 120 games, like you're talking about a catcher that's who knows at his peak is like 25 to 30 home runs, 100 plus RBI, that has plus defensive value. That's a that's a top 10 MVP.
Who's
Yeah,
That
also
also
a complete hitter too.
yeah, yeah.
that also sounds like a rookie of the year to me. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
There's no way he should win it. Cade
I was
Horton has had a fantastic season, but he does not deserve Rookie of the Year over Drake.
no, I was kind of mad because the other day I tweeted that Drake Baldwin would be like the sixth rookie since 1995 to have over 75 RBIs and under 70 strikeouts. And I think Kenji Jojima was like the last one to do it in '06, I believe it was. But
Yeah,
regardless, to be that good of a hitter
yeah,
as a catcher, like that's the best offensive catcher the Braves have had since Brian McCann. And
yeah.
Brian McCann, early McCann, I know Jeb doesn't remember it because he wasn't born yet, but he early Brian McCann was another on another planet of offensive catchers, one that we hadn't seen in quite a while at that point.
That's a Drake has the potential to be a franchise altering catcher.
Yeah,
And you could see it happening last year, but even what he's done this year has exceeded any expectations that I've had. And honestly, I'm asking, like, I don't know what his cap is. What's his ceiling? I honestly don't know because he's so good at being able to recognize what is a strike and what isn't that, like, he could improve next year. I don't know. Maybe he's a 300 hitter. I don't know. And that's insane to think about
yeah.
Even
because
his
he's still a
stats
catcher.
too. Like, wasn't there a stat floating around where he was like 8 for 10 with the bases loaded or something?
Yeah.
Just stupid.
Yeah,
There's
I
like
mean,
a
I've
one
been
1.5 OPS with the bases
Yeah,
loaded.
like that's just
Like, okay.
crazy.
That's better than my video game. Like, all right, sure, why not?
brother. Matt Olson went like 0 for 4 today with the
Yeah.
bases loaded or something. Like it's crazy, but no, man, Drake has exceeded expectations. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you thought he was going to be. He has had to exceed pretty much everybody's expectations at this point.
If you
Um,
expected more out of him, you need to change your expectations. Let's
oh,
just be
dude,
Absolutely.
honest.
yes, exactly. And between him and Sean Murphy, like I know people hate on Sean Murphy because he can go 0 for 183 or whatever it is, but Sean is a like having those two as the Atlanta Braves catchers is
That's all you can
such
want.
a so nice, and it's such a luxury that hardly anybody else has. Um, Sean is obviously going to be better defensively than Drake Baldwin is, but Drake isn't going to have the lows and the plate that
Yeah.
Sean Murphy is. But then again, Drake's not necessarily going to have the same highs. I wouldn't
Yeah.
think that Sean Murphy is at the plate, but hell, I mean, from what I've seen from him this year, he might have the same highs. I don't know. It all depends on how he progresses into next year.
No, absolutely. Maybe he's a 25, 30 home run guy, and if he is, then he's similar to Sean Murphy, but with a better batting average. Which
Yeah,
again, like, is not a slight to Sean Murphy because that's still a top catcher in the entire league. But when we're talking about Drake, that's a one and one of the best players in baseball.
yeah. And I'd take him over. I'd take Drake Baldwin at this point over probably 20 to 25 of I'd probably say 25 of the other 30 starting catchers in baseball.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, obviously, Cal Raleigh is,
Yeah,
another animal, but you probably have two or three, maybe four more that I'd put above Drake at this point, but it ain't many.
Dalton over in Toronto, and like it might be those two for me. Like Drake is right there, top five, and
Yeah,
that's crazy.
it is. It is. Well,
Remember
boys,
also when he started the season like 0 for 70 and like every ball he hit was
Yeah,
120 miles an hour?
yeah, yeah.
seemed like there were several guys who were doing that shit too,
Yeah.
man. Like
Yeah.
Olson was doing that. He was hitting the shit out of the baseball and just not going to anywhere besides a glove. Drake was doing it. Um, gosh, but even Profar did it a couple times in that first series, but then we all know what happened there. We ain't got to rehash that at this point.
Put that part in our brain and just get rid of it.
Yeah,
We
dude.
won't we
And
won't ever talk about it again.
Uh,
the way he
I
has impressed me, though, like since he came back,
He's
Profar can
everything you could
play.
want.
oh
He's
yeah,
everything that the Braves wanted, and
Yeah,
it's yeah, coming in next year. As long as he does exactly what he's done this year, that's perfect.
it has been identical to what he
Outside of
did
the
in
suspension.
24. It's been
Yeah,
identical.
exactly.
then let's see. I mean, Michael Harris is. It. I saw a stat today, and he has a 127 WRC plus in the second half, and that amazes me because he had that 2 week stretch where he was Barry fucking Bonds, like
Yeah,
just could not miss, could not swing and miss, hit everything as hard as humanly possible. But then he hasn't, like, he didn't do anything again for another 2 week stretch, and now he's back to hitting the ball again. But
yeah.
it's just kind of wild to me how good he can be when he gets hot. Because,
What
buddy,
I'm
that man right there can rake.
what I'm hoping for next year for him is he's done it this year. He's done a fantastic job of making those adjustments. And those adjustments have helped him tremendously, and we've seen those massive hot streaks. There's another one, like you said, that came in the past like week, and we're seeing him do another big boom. What I really want to see from him next year is to be able to take all of this and limit the lows, and like have his lows be like a major league low, not this like oh for 2 months type of stuff that we saw
Yeah.
this year. You limit those lows, and again, that's a one of the top center fielders in baseball because even despite being shit for a majority of the year, he's got a good chance at being a 2020 player.
Yeah.
And that's crazy. Because you
Yeah.
expect more from him speed wise, right? You do expect him to be 20, 25 stolen bases with being if he's able to get on base at a decent clip, but that power showing up now. We just want to limit those lows next year, and if he does a good job of that, that's a 750, 800 OPS player, and that's someone that provides up the middle like gold glove, platinum glove level defense, and someone you can count on day in and day out. So next year is going to definitely be a huge year for Michael. Definitely want to see happy with the adjustments he's made, but want to see a little more consistency.
I was really hoping that he could get to 90 RBIs
That'd
because,
be crazy. Oh my
yeah,
God, that'd be crazy.
the last three guys to have an OPS under 700 and over 90 RBIs were all three former MVPs. You had
Oh,
Albert Pujols, Ryan Howard, and gosh, I can't remember who the other one was at this point. But I posted it not too long ago, and I just thought that was kind of funny that the last three were MVPs
that's
at one
wild.
point. Yeah. Um. But yeah, boys, y'all got anything else?
Jose, you got anything?
No, not me personally, man. Just I really appreciate you hopping on here, talking some ball with us. It's been really incredible just to hear your perspective on minor league baseball, especially as someone who doesn't really watch it as much. I mainly only watch Major League Baseball, but I do pay attention to some prospects here and there. But it's been just incredible to hear your perspective on it. So really appreciate your time. Really appreciate you hopping on and talking some ball with us.
I genuinely appreciate that. Thank you.
I have one more question. You're pretty close with some of the guys down there. If you could pick one player in the system to do a escape room with, who are you picking and why?
It better not be none of the 16-year-olds because they don't even know.
Yeah, they're.
Yeah.
I want. Let's be real. At 16, you're probably not smart enough.
That's what I'm saying, man. You're not. They're not. They got nothing but ball and girls
Hayden
on
Harris.
brain.
I'm gonna go with Hayden Harris.
Ooh.
And I'm gonna tell you why. Because Hayden is gonna tell you if you're being dumb or not. If he knows how to get out of that room and you're being a dumbass, he's gonna be like, "Stop being a dumbass. This is what you
Sounds
gotta
like
do."
Ben.
And
Sounds like
I respect the hell out of him. He's someone that I love his story. I got the opportunity. Like I won't give too much details because I don't want him to get in trouble. But for example, there was one at bat where there was one game where he was phenomenal. We're talking like 2 innings pitched, 1 hit, 5 strikeouts, something like that. But he had 1 hit by pitch. And I messaged him after the game. I was like, "Hey, well, like I just want to know what was up with that one dude. It seemed like everything was going well." And he straight up told me, he was like, "Yeah, this dude pissed off another player, and I got to have his back." I was like, "You know what? Respect. Like, okay, do what you got to do."
I have also DM'd Hayden Harris once or twice, and I've been trying to get him, convince him to come on this show, and he,
Good luck with that.
Yeah, he said he would back in spring training. He just had to get everything settled. But Hayden, if you're listening, I still remember that. All right, even though it was back in spring training, you said you would. So, whatever, man. No, it's he seems like a really good guy though. I mean, he went to Georgia Southern, so you can't hold him to too high a standard in the old brain department. But he seems like a good guy.
No, he definitely is. He's extremely hardworking. Being able to talk with him, like he remembers every single at bat pretty much that he's had. And you can tell he's one of those guys that is going to have success at the second level. And so I'm glad he was able to get that opportunity this year, and I hope next year he's got a lot more chances.
Me and you both. I'm very happy for him.
Well, like we said, we appreciate your time. Obviously, you're always welcome to come back on and talk Braves prospects with us. I don't know jack shit about them, so you have enlightened me a lot on some of these guys and some of these guys to look out for next year. So, once again, we really appreciate it, man.
No, the same goes to you guys. Thanks so much. And happy to come on anytime you want.
Absolutely. Well, all right, that is it. We will catch y'all in the next one. Peace.
Landed right on the shoulder.
Hawk tour.
Let's do it again.